From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we go into one of my favorite shows that we do here in this podcast, and that is the questions from listeners. Because there are a lot of questions that people have that are very similar to one another. You know, clearly there are hundreds, if not thousands, of questions that could be asked. But when you boil it all down, it comes to just a few. Am I going to be okay in retirement? Do I have enough money for retirement? Are the taxes that I'm going to pay in retirement too large? Are they going to eat my retirement income? All of this kind of boils down to just a few. And on this episode, we go into a few that are in key areas, specifically long-term care planning, tax planning, income planning, planning for inflation. All of that gets covered. And I know that very well. Many people are listening to this episode and potentially have that same question. We just got done recording this show. As a matter of fact, we are still in studio, and Whitney's right here. She's walking past the microphone. I'm going to grab her and tell her to join me on this intro. She's normally not on the podcast intro, but you'll hear her voice on this particular podcast. This is a questions from listeners, Whitney, and this is probably one of my favorite shows that we do.
Yeah, mine too. I would say, because I'm the this is the only show that I get to co-host. I suppose.
Come on, that's right. But at the end of the day, I mean, we have a lot of people that we help every single day that have questions just like these, and you get the ability, or I guess the pleasure, to go through these questions as they come in and weed them out. But there are many that get directed to our advisors that never make it to the radio or never make it to the podcast. And they are questions that people have every single day, and they just don't know who to ask. I
think it boils down, Dale, to really the fears and the worries of retirement.
Anything that makes you uncertain, ask us. We would love an opportunity to ask or to answer that question with you, and ultimately be able to bring some clarity to your situation if you have fears or worries.
Don't be afraid to ask. Even if it sounds so simple.
Even if it's simple. Yeah, it could very much be the key to unlocking the next question, which is more complex.
Yep.
So tell them, Whitney, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I know you were about to walk out of studio, so I'm stealing some time from you. Tell them how they can get in touch with us if they have questions.
Yes, so you can do that by calling our office at 270-600-7526. Or if it is this weekend, go ahead and navigate over to our website and go to the menu button to schedule a call. You can just key in a little bit of information there, schedule a time that's convenient for your schedule.
And Whitney is the director of marketing here at our firm. You've heard me reference her a few times. She makes sure that all of our podcasts get in the right place, and her entire team. She has a relations team that you hear whenever you pick up the phone and call us. She has a team that manages our website and making sure that I'm SEO optimized. I've referenced that a few times. But if you enjoy...
Making sure you have good titles, Dale.
That's right. Making sure I don't come up with some wonky title here. But long story short, if you have questions about retirement, we're here. We're partners for you along this journey. If you just like listening to the show, continue to do so, but do us a favor and subscribe, follow, whatever it is on your streaming service, and leave us an honest review. We would be much appreciative of that review because it helps us get in front of more people just like yourself. So here we go with this episode of Questions from Listeners. I hope you enjoy the show. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well and you are ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. This is going to be one of my favorite series of shows that we do on this episode of the Retirement Matters. We are coming with questions and answers, which is, again, one of my favorite parts of the show that we do, and that means that the one and only Miss Whitney Eubank is also in studio with us. Good morning. How are you, Whitney?
I'm good, Dale.
Great.
Good morning.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited to get this one started. We haven't had a Q&A in a while. We typically do questions from listeners once a quarter, and I think we're a couple of weeks behind.
Yeah,
so
we've been rocking and rolling at the office. So
we're going to get this
glad.
one done.
Yeah.
The summer is almost over. It's crazy how quickly it's went. And we're going to jump into the question and answers specifically from listeners of the show and clients that we deal with each and every day. Whitney's armed with a list of questions. I see them there. We are going to get to those as we can get through them throughout the show. But before we do, we've got to jump into our positive focus. Our pause for positivity is the first thing we get to every episode, as you're aware, and we are going to go straight into that. And again, this one is really intended to bring a little bit of self-reflection, some inward growth, perhaps. Whitney, you and I were talking on the way in to studio this morning. We were discussing a thought that came to us from JB, our director of operations, who his primary post, I guess, if you will, is the Bowling Green office. He had a thought that he brought before the team that said, everyone wants a good day, but not many people spend a lot of time planning out how they can have a good hour. And he was essentially saying that, these big goals that we have, for instance, annual goals, a 1-year goal, if we're not careful, we'll fail to break them down into smaller little steps. And it's the big goal and the 1-year goal that people have. So many people fail to turn it into day-by-day goals. And then if you have a day goal, hey, today I want to wake up and have a good day. Well, what does that mean? And how can we spend each hour towards taking a step towards that larger goal? And
it's really good to think about.
It's definitely a good thought. Yeah. So
that actually makes me think, too, that you say that. I think this statement that I've said all year long is 1% better every day.
1%.
And sometimes that's all you have to focus on. All we have to focus on is our small wins every single day, and then that's what matters at the end of the year, right? So it would add up to a big growth trajectory that you've had or a goal that you want to meet or whatever that is. But a lot of times we don't spend time reflecting on all the small wins and forget. Celebrating those.
Yeah.
Yes.
The gap versus gain theory comes to mind, too, where, if we're not careful, we can look at how far it is until we hit what our goal was. So the gap between where we are and where we want to be. And we forget to turn around and look at the gain that we've made, that progress that we've actually made.
So here's to reflection.
Here's to reflection. Yeah, I love it. And we're halfway through the year. So if you're 6 months in, what? Now we're, 8.
No, we're a little bit over half of the year.
Holy cow.
So,
almost going into 9 months
a good time.
into the year. Lord have mercy. And 9 months into the year is a great time to look back and see what was it in January that I really wanted to accomplish this year. Got just a few months left. Let's make it happen.
Right.
And what goals are attainable, first of all, and the goals that are attainable, let's break them down into smaller goals going into maybe a week-by-week basis. At the end of this week, I want to have accomplished X, Y, and Z. Or maybe this weekend, I want to make sure I'm taking one step closer to my ultimate goal. And again, every single day, we make ourselves 1%.
Yes,
better.
Having a little bit of grace with yourself. I think that's what 1% better every day means for me, right?
Interesting, and which is also what we did last weekend, believe it or not, that a little bit of grace. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to be different. It's growth. It doesn't come easy. It's an uphill battle, and it's not normal. Muscle memory is not baked in yet, or else it wouldn't be something you're trying to grow.
Yep.
So we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace. That is good messaging there. The pause for positivity is behind us here. We're going to take a quick break. We're coming back with some questions that you have personally asked us. Perhaps you're going to hear yours on here today. If you haven't asked us a question and you have one you'd like to put it on air, get it over to us. Contact@rdswealth.com. Contact@rdswealth.com. And as we go through today's questions, perhaps you'll hear one that you have, or maybe it'll spar a little bit of a question of your own. get it over to us, and we will make sure we get you the answers necessary. And if you'd like to talk to one of our team members, you'll hear this multiple times throughout the show. You have the ability to contact us at rdswealth.com, and schedule a time that makes sense for you. We'll have someone reach out to you with your own answers to your specific questions. And, of course, you can schedule a time to talk to someone on the team by giving us a call, 270-600-PLAN, 270-600-7526. We are going to take a break, Whitney, and
Yes, sir.
when we come back, we're going to be ready to rock and roll with these questions. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
It's 4th and 1 with 2 seconds left in the game. Less than 1 yard separates you from victory. You have the best running back in the league, but your coach calls a Hail Mary.
As silly as that sounds, we see a lot of retirement managers being far too aggressive with your investments when a more conservative play would be a better fit. You have questions, we have answers.
Contact R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-7526.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're going to jump into today's episode. The Questions from Listeners episode is one of my favorite that we do here, the Retirement Matters show. We try to do this quarterly. Like we said, Whitney, we're a couple weeks behind, I think, on our schedule. So
Just a little bit.
We're going to get started. We've got plenty of questions to get to and not enough time, I'm sure, to answer all of them. But let's get to what we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, so our first one comes from Bill. He's 64. He asked, I'm closer to retirement now, and I feel like we have enough money, but with inflation and market ups and downs, how do I make sure we don't run out of money throughout retirement?
Bill,
A good one.
64. Yes, a very good one. Bill, 64, currently retired, did
Nope,
he say?
he's actually closer to retirement.
Very good.
Yep, so probably coming up within the next year or so. I would
This is
say.
great. Yeah, this is great. So this is the time to start asking that question, not once you've jumped into retirement, for sure. Once you've jumped into retirement, that cake is kind of baked. So getting there before retirement is very important, and making sure that the market ups and downs are not going to take that money, along with inflation, which has been
Yep.
in the news
I think
a
you
lot here
actually
lately.
just talked about this with Larry on Thursday.
Yeah.
The market ups and
think
downs?
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah. What was that? Last
just
week?
this past week.
Yeah. Very good. So, market ups and downs. Man, this is the time to be thinking through that too. So let's discuss this real quick, Bill. 64 years old, husband and wife, wondering about inflation. That is the biggest concern for a lot of people, is to maybe say, hey, I've got the money now. I feel like I can retire, but inflation is really a concern, because what if, $100 today doesn't spend anything like $100 10, 15, or 20 years from now, which makes me know that you are doing the right thing by being conscious of this. Inflation is certainly something that is robbing you every single day of purchasing power. And one of the ways to offset inflation is to keep your money working. Don't let it be lazy. We need to earn interest on that dollar just to keep up and make sure that that dollar bill is still able to be called upon to spend like a dollar 10, 15, or 20 years from now in retirement. So one of the ways that we've got to help offset inflation is getting money working, not letting money stay lazy. That's one big piece here. And I would tell you that a lot of people in their 60s are putting money into money market accounts or savings accounts because they're concerned with the second piece of what Bill said, which is market volatility, the ups and downs of the market. They're concerned with the ups and downs of the market, and perhaps they have kept money in the bank account earning 4.5%. Well, that could very easily change in the next little bit as interest rates start to come down. So what do we need to do? We need to get this money working efficiently, and that all revolves around perhaps some stock market investments or something that is tied to the stock market. I want to say this right here, Whitney. You do not have to risk your money in the stock market to make good money. But in order to know what rate of return you need, you have to have built an income plan. So what I'm getting at here is 3% good? Well, perhaps, Bill, 3% is all that you need. And if that's the case, then it can do exactly that in a very safe investment. Or maybe you need a 5 or 6% rate of return to help offset inflation in your retirement plan. And if that's the case, we're likely looking at market-based investments. So if market-based investments are where you need to be, then we go to the idea of how do we help make sure the market doesn't take our money? And there are ways to invest inside of the stock market without risking your money to the ups and downs of the stock market. We talk a lot about this in options-based strategies to give you the upside potential with a whole lot less downside risk in the market. Here is the one sentence answer. How do we safeguard or protect our money against market risk and inflation? We put a plan together that is specifically tailor-made for you, knowing how much of a return you need to hit your goal and knowing what that goal is based off of all the inflation data that we have at our disposal. What does that mean? Well, Bill, simply, if we put an income plan together for you and we were able to help you understand how much money you're going to need, not how much money of today's money, but how much money you're going to need in 20 and 30 years with inflation all figured in, then we can have a real good understanding of what our target for a return would be. And with our rate of return target, now we can go and risk as little money as we need to in the market. So many people do this the wrong way, Whitney. We see people come in, and Bill, this is nothing against you by any means. I'm confident that you are conscious of the fact that inflation is an issue. So you have already put some plans into place for sure. But so many people come in and they look at their amount of money and they say, okay, if I invest it this way, then I can pull this much off of it. Mm-hmm. And the reality is we are introducing so much risk. And then from risk, we are introducing a sense of fear and uncertainty around that income that doesn't allow them to truly live in retirement to their optimal, what we call live happy state. So, Bill, here is the answer. How do we protect against inflation and market risk? Well, first we have to plan for inflation. Find your income that you need now. Understand what inflation is going to do to that at a, say, 2.5% or 3% inflation rate over the next 30 years. From there, we know how much money we need, and we know how much of a return we must have on your money. This income mindset, this income first approach to our investing gives us an edge because now we can risk as little as we have to. Instead of putting all of our money to risk, now we only introduce as much risk as we need. And what we find most of the time, Whitney, is that by putting a plan together for their income, many people can risk a lot less of their money than what they thought was possible before.
All right, Bill, that was a really great question. I know that we probably have others with very similar questions. Maybe that's about the market ups and downs or inflation, or maybe even specific to income planning. If that's you, give our team a call or even schedule a meeting online. You can navigate to our website and do that fairly easy. We are here to help and happy to help.
Awesome. RDSwealth.com and giving us a call, 270-600-PLAN. If you have questions similar to that. We're going to take a quick break, Whitney, and we're going to reset. We're going to come back with another round of questions. Might get a couple in here before this next break. See how long I ramble. Hope the question and the answer was relevant to you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're going to shift gears now. We're going to go to the next question. And this question, I'll let Whitney introduce it. During the break, she kind of gave me a little bit of a preliminary reading of the question. So let's go.
Yeah. All right, Dale. This one is from Mike. He's 66. He says, I'm retired, but my tax situation seems to keep changing. How do you help with tax planning at RDS Wealth? So really great question. Yeah. I do want to pause here, though, and give maybe another question on the back end of this, where we had an advisor in our office just recently had a very similar question of, will RDS Wealth do my tax return? So maybe in other words, does RDS Wealth do taxes?
And I remember that, Whitney. I think that was brought before the advisor team just a few weeks ago. We had a client that was asking specifically if RDS Wealth did tax returns. They were looking for a new CPA. And that is not what we do here at R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. Our objective is to build a roadmap for you in how to navigate your tax picture. We will coordinate that with your CPA, and we believe wholeheartedly in involving your CPA. A CPA is important. But to think that a CPA can build the entirety of a retirement plan, even a retirement tax plan, it's just not what CPAs do. Nor is what CPAs do what we do here at RDS Wealth, which is build the entirety of a retirement tax plan. So we go hand in hand. We definitely will partner with your existing CPA. We have some CPAs that we will recommend if needed. If you don't have a good one, we can definitely give you a good recommendation in your area. We work with several CPAs in the area that you are listening right now. But ultimately, the CPA's job is to keep score, if you will. They're the scorekeeper, and they figure out a way to keep score in the most advantageous way for you on what happened last year. We are forward thinking in thinking about what we're going to do in next year and the year after's taxes. Now, the CPAs we recommend will help you with some proactive planning, but that proactive planning is normally a 12-month type proactive planning strategy. We want a 12 to even 20-year type of proactive planning strategy as we enter into retirement income phase. So that's a long answer for essentially saying, no, we do not do taxes, nor do we plan on trying to offer returning of a tax return if you are building that tax return. Ultimately, we believe that we need three very key individuals in this plan. You need a retirement income planner that helps build the plan for the retirement income phase and everything that entails. That is your taxes. That is your estate planning. That is healthcare planning. And that is building a plan for how we're going to get income to you. And, of course, managing your investments. But along the way, we need to pull in an attorney and a CPA to help us complete that plan. That is the ultimate goal of our firm. And we like to use the ones that you're familiar with and comfortable with already. We're not here to try and sell you our CPA or sell you our attorney. If you have one, we can help with that plan that's already being built and make it more complete. Now, Mike, 66, had a question around taxes.
Yes, Dale. Yeah. He had some questions because he said his tax situation seems to keep changing.
Keeps changing. So,
and he actually wanted to see how we help with tax planning at RDS Wealth.
This is a big one for most retirees in their retirement income phase. You see a significant change. Now, Mike's 66, so I would imagine he is either very close to or already transitioning into income phase. And as you transition from growth phase to income phase, the rules around taxes change, Mike. You are exactly right. And they're ever changing. You have things that will come up all of a sudden that you've never even heard of, like IRMA, which is an extra tax on Medicare if you've made too much 2 years ago. We're not even talking about this year's taxes. We're talking about 2 years ago taxes that will impact this year's Medicare premiums. IRMA is something we need to plan around. Something that we need to plan around in taxes as well as Roth conversions, whether or not those make sense for you in your long-term strategy. We need to understand what your legacy goals are to be able to really give a strong recommendation on whether or not Roth conversions make sense. We also need to know what your income plan looks like to know whether or not Roth conversions make sense. There are other types of strategies that we can deploy around Roth conversion strategies that maybe even help offset the expense of long-term care, which is a big part of the overall plan. So this tax plan and the strategies that go inside of that are more than just the day-to-day or year-to-year type of moves that have been made. That's the CPA's job. We are looking forward in planning around what will come in the future. That type of tax planning is what we call proactive tax planning. And in that tax planning, we are, yes, setting aside the money that's coming to you in income. We're setting aside the taxes for you. We're making sure you don't have to worry about the tax ramification of that income. If we pull a big piece of money for something like a trip, we're setting aside the taxes for you, making sure we're ready to pay out the IRS for what you owe. But we also want to help you get out of that partnership with the IRS
as efficiently as possible and as quickly as possible to not only offset the tax that you will pay in your lifetime, but the tax that your beneficiaries will receive when and if you pass away. So there is our overall tax strategy, Mike.
Yes, sir. All right, I do want to get to the next question, and this one comes from Jill.
Jill, all right.
She's 63.
Jill, 63.
And she says, Social Security was never meant to be my only income. How do I figure out the best time to take it based on everything else I have?
Great. So 63, Miss Jill. By the way, I want to say thank you for listening to the show. Same with Mr. Bill and Mike. I know that you guys listen to the show or you wouldn't have these questions. So I hope that this is bringing some clarity to you. And many of you already know I've already answered those questions for you, or one of our team members have already answered this question. But this is us bringing it to the radio show because it's important and it impacts a lot of people. Social Security was never intended to be anyone's primary source of income. And Miss Jill, you are normal. Congratulations, you're completely normal. But thinking through this is abnormal because many people just enter into Social Security and never really build a plan for it. So congratulations again. You have done what it takes, which is thinking about the proper way to take Social Security. At 63 years old, there are some primary questions that we have to come up with. First of all, are you working right now? If you are, the likely answer is don't take Social Security because you're up against something called an earnings test. If you're not working right now and you are considering Social Security, the way to know whether or not it's the perfect time is to build an income plan. The income plan, if you're working with an advisor right now that can't build a true income plan for you, then you're likely working with a growth advisor. That's not a bad thing, Jill. That just means that you need to transition, just like your lifestyle has transitioned from growth phase to income phase. It's time to start getting income advice from an income specialist. And when we build the income plan for you, it becomes very clear on when you should take Social Security. This is not a guessing game. It's not an emotional game. It is a math and science game. And we can make it optimal for you simply by building the income plan and starting to craft what we call the Retirement Atlases portion. It's called the Income Roadmap. It's the Retirement Atlas. It's one of the 5 worlds of the Retirement Atlas that we help you navigate through: income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and legacy. All of this becomes very clear as we begin to build the income roadmap. Now, Whitney, I see you gearing up for the next question. I'm going to need to take a swig of water here for just a second, and we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get 30 seconds of a break, and we're coming right back with more of your questions and answers right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. And I want to put in one little piece here, Whitney, before we get started with the next question. Many people probably have these questions, and you may have even posed them to your advisor and not gotten the clear answer that you desired. And that's not that your advisor is bad. It's that they may be a growth advisor. You need an income advisor as you transition into income phase, and we are here to help you. Navigate to our website, rdswealth.com, and we will get the answers to you at a time that is convenient for you.
Yes, sir. All right. This next question comes from Rob. He's 67. He says, we're retired and doing well now, but how do we plan ahead for healthcare cost, especially long-term care?
Rob,
this is a big one.
Love it. We are retired. Rob, I would imagine, Rob, you have a spouse, retired, completely okay, I would imagine, with your income, or you would be asking questions about that specifically. But you have gotten into retirement age now, and you realize long-term care is the next frontier, the next thing that needs to be settled. Again, we just talked about the clarity that must be had in all areas of retirement in order to live happy in retirement. This particular question comes most of the time for people after retirement. And I'm going to tell you, Rob, you're not too late to have asked this question. But if you don't mind, Rob, I'm going to take just a second and talk to those who maybe have this question at 57 and talk to them about why it's important to do it earlier rather than later. Now, there is no time better than today. Don't wait till tomorrow. We can't worry about yesterday. It's impossible to make decisions for yesterday, right? We can't do that. We can't live in yesterday. But if you're 57, maybe you should start considering how much income you're going to need. And from there, what money do you have left to be able to take care of long-term care? Because long-term care is likely to take place for most people, yet most people over the age of 65 do not have it. It's more likely that you need long-term care, significantly more likely that you need long-term care than you will see your house burn down or that you'll have a total loss on your automobile. Yet more people by a great magnitude have automobile insurance and they have homeowners insurance, yet they have no real plan for long-term care. Now, I'm not here to tell you need long-term care insurance, Rob. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it's likely that long-term care insurance would be an expense that would be absolutely unnecessary. Yet the plan for long-term care and how you will pay for that needs to be ironed out. And it's typically going to revolve around something called private paying for this coverage, or it might revolve around some trusts that need to be built and formed and then funded properly. This type of strategy is something that we help you with at RDS Wealth. This is, again, there was a question I'm going to test here. I think it might have been Mike, maybe it was Jill, that had the question around CPA, whether or not we did taxes. Was that Mike? I think that was Mike, wasn't it,
yes.
Whitney? Mike had the question around whether or not we did taxes, and we talked about the importance of a CPA and what that CPA plays and the role that they play. And no, we don't do your day-to-day taxes. We don't do your year-to-year taxes, but we build a tax plan for the long term. The same thing can be said about Rob's question here. An attorney is very, very, very important in an estate plan and in a healthcare plan when we get to long-term care planning. How do you want this money to go to the ones you care about, the people you love, the institutions you want to give to? All of that revolves around whether or not you need trusts. And whether or not you need trust for long-term care planning revolves around, a lot around the assets that you possess and the types of accounts they're in. So here's what I would tell you, and here's what I told Rob whenever we talked. We need to start to build a personalized plan for you in your healthcare plan. The healthcare plan has to dovetail very nicely with the tax plan, which must encompass the income plan. And this is why it's important to work with a retirement income specialist and not just an investment advisor that's going to teach you how to grow your assets.
Yes, I know that we are running out of time, Dale, but I was just looking at our podcast, and we had a long-term care or how to pay for long-term care expenses podcast back on March 14th.
Nice.
That may go into a little bit more detail there on that topic alone.
Very good.
If you guys want to catch that up.
Real-time advice there.
Yeah, for sure. March 14th, episode 203.
Episode 203. We enjoy each and every week getting to chat with you. This week has flown by. It has been questions and answers with the one and only Whitney Eubank here in studio with me. I appreciate your time, Whitney.
Yes, sir.
Each and every week we get here together. We get to talk, and having someone like Whitney come on with the questions that you have only helps make this conversation go better. Again, if you have questions, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, or navigate to our website, rdswealth.com. We'll set up a time to talk when it's convenient for you. That is the end of our show today. If we get to talk in person or we get to see you again here on this show the next time, whatever it is, between now and then, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RD Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RD Smothers Wealth Management.